Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us on this Tuesday for the SBA Loan Guarantee Program webinar. We will be starting in approximately 1 minute. So just hold tight. If for some reason you are having problems hearing the audio, there is a dial-in number that you can dial in right at the top. Okay, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We just want to start just with a few housekeeping rules. In about 24 hours, you will receive an email with a replay of today's webinar and slides in case for some reason you have to leave early or unable to view all the slides as we're going through them. If you for some reason also have a problem with the audio or visual, there's a blue reconnect button at the bottom of your screen. You can use that and try to reconnect, or you can also use the fallback, which is the toll-free number listed at the top. And we will allow for a few questions at the end of the webinar today. So without any further ado, we will start. And today's presenters are Marium Eamen from SBA and Karen Williams from the DC SCORE office.
Great. Thank you, Janine, very much. And welcome, everyone, to our webinar on the SBA Loan Guarantee Program. As Janine mentioned, I'm Karen Williams. I am part of the DC SCORE office, and you'll hear more about SCORE in a minute. And I'm joined by Marium.
And I'm Marium Eamen. I am the Lender Relations Specialist with the DC, SBA DC Metropolitan Area District Office. Sorry, it's a tongue twister.
It is. So today's webinar is sponsored by both of us, by the DC SCORE chapter and by the Metropolitan District of SBA. As Janine mentioned, questions can be submitted online during this session. And in approximately 24 hours, a copy of this webinar and the slides will be posted on www.washingtondc.score.org. And don't worry about scrambling to write that down right now. We will show it at the end of the webinar as well so that you can capture that link. As Marium mentioned, we're part of the SBA office, the Metropolitan Area District of SBA, and that district serves not only the District of Columbia, but also all of the adjoining Maryland and Virginia counties. And as you can see from this map, this is the area that this part of SBA covers. What we hope to accomplish today is to develop an understanding of SBA's guaranteed bank loan products, eligibility to get those products, and how to apply. And then additionally, we'll find out how to move forward if you are interested in applying for one of those loans. But before I turn this over to Marium, let's just talk a little bit about SCORE. So SCORE is America's small business resource. We provide free and confidential mentoring to companies, to all small businesses. We do one-on-one mentoring in person, email, or by video. We provide workshops, seminars, and events in our community, like the one we're doing right now. And we also provide business tools and templates at our national website, which is www.score.org. As I mentioned, it's free and confidential mentoring, and we help small businesses grow. And there are two examples here of two probably well-known clients that have been SCORE clients. Vera Bradley, one of my favorites. Unfortunately, that was not one of my clients, but she was a SCORE client. We've served over 10 million entrepreneurs since 1964. We are a nonprofit resource partner of SBA's. As I mentioned, SCORE was formed in 1964 as a resource partner of SBA, and our sole mission in life is to help aspiring and existing small businesses succeed. And so in the last 53 years, we've helped 11 million people as they have pursued their business goals. We are in all 50 states. There are 300 chapters across the country. But if a chapter is not near you, we do online and video mentoring as well. We have 10,000 volunteers, and those business mentors have expertise in 62 different industries. Last year, SCORE helped create over 53,000 new businesses, 65,000 new jobs in existing small businesses, and over 38,000 businesses increased their revenue. So those are stats we obviously are very proud of. In case you're wondering about our clients, most of them are women. 56% of SCORE clients are women, 31% are minorities, and 12% are veterans. And the businesses that we help, if you're thinking about starting a business, so you're in that pre-startup phase, if you are a startup, or if you are a small business that's in business today, and our goal is then to help you grow that small business. And the ways that SCORE can help you, I mentioned we do face-to-face, video, and email mentoring. We provide workshops, and we have online resources. So those of you that are in business today, SCORE is available to help you. If you're thinking about a business, we can help you as well. And the contact information for the DC SCORE office is provided here. As I mentioned, it's in the SBA building. The phone number is 202-619-1000. And when you call that number, just say, I want to set up an appointment with a SCORE mentor. And then for the second time, here is our website. And again, we will provide that website at the end. And with those introductory remarks, the reason you have all joined today's webinar is to hear Marium. So Marium, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Great, thank you. So my presentation, I hope, will provide a general overview of the Small Business Administration's programs that assist small businesses in obtaining access to capital on terms that are otherwise not considered reasonable. So how the SBA loan process works, the first point I'd like to make is the SBA does not provide loans directly. So we provide a loan guarantee program similar to like the FHA loan program or the student loan program. SBA guarantees the loan with our participating lender. So in order to apply for an SBA guaranteed loan, you would have to go directly through a participating lender. And you can find a list of your participating lenders if you go to sba.gov, local assistance, under your local district office. So if you guys are listening or tuning in from around the country, you can go find the district office that's closest to you. That being said, the lender will make the lender is going to make the decision. So there's nothing for you to download on SBA's website, etc. Go to your lender. They're going to determine whether or not you're eligible. Once they have determined your eligibility, they will submit their guarantee request over to SBA. But pretty much there's not going to be much interface with you, with the business and at the SBA. You go directly through your participating lender. But if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to your local district office to help make that process a little bit easier for you. Next slide, please. The purpose of the SBA Guarantee Loan Program is to help small businesses with a reasonable chance of succeeding obtain financing on equitable terms. So again, the reasonable chance of succeeding is highlighted in red because, again, it is a loan like any other loan. But for those businesses who, for whatever reason, don't fit into the conventional lending mold or the conventional lending products, this offers them an opportunity to get access to capital on equitable terms. Next slide, please. Okay. The benefits to the small business obviously provides more flexible financing alternative when funds are not otherwise available, allows for longer terms, which can definitely help out any sort of cash flow issues you might have, especially maybe as new if you're taking down payment requirements may be more flexible with the SBA guaranteed loan. Next slide, please. when an SBA guarantee may become necessary. So if you find yourself in any of these positions, if you're a startup business, if you have lack of collateral, is a change of ownership, which sometimes can become a little bit riskier, your lender is most likely going to require that you guarantee your loan in order for them to be able to go ahead and move forward with the loan. But the one thing I'd like to hint here is, or one thing that I'd like to highlight here is that if you do find yourself in any of these categories, if you do have a collateral issue or a collateral shortfall, or if you think cash flow might be tight, or, you know, just the project is going to be in an industry that is traditionally a little bit riskier, make sure that all the other points in your loan package are going to be strong. So if you are a startup business, make sure your marketing plan, that your projected financials, that your overall business plan is going to be stellar, because you clearly don't want to have several different weak points. You want to make sure that if there is a weak point, the SBA guarantee can be used to mitigate that, but all the other elements of your business plan and your overall loan package need to be strengthened. Next slide, please. Eligibility as far as the SBA Guarantee Loan Program is, you have to be a for-profit small business. You must be an applicant of good character, which that basically means you can't currently be incarcerated or on probation. You cannot have defaulted on any kind of federal debt. If you've had any tax liens, you can still become eligible as long as you do have a payment plan with the IRS and you can demonstrate that you're on time with that. You must have the ability to repay the loan, which clearly every lender wants to be repaid, as well as the SBA if they're guaranteeing the loan. It must have a feasible business plan. So I really highlight this point because your business plan is really it's really, you know, navigating your path, and it's kind of carving your path for your business to grow or to take it to the next step. So you want to make sure that your business plan is something that you have researched. Hopefully you haven't paid somebody to do it for you. Or if you have, at least you know the details of your plan. And this is where our research partners like SCORE come in. So if you're great at what you do, but for whatever reason you might not be the best person as far as accounting goes, or marketing, or just putting together the business plan, utilize the SCORE and their resources, and they can really help you put together a strong business plan. And a lot of them are ex-bankers, so they understand what lenders are looking for, so they can make sure that you are best prepared when you are going to meet with your lender and presenting your business plan.
And that's a good point, Marium, and thank you for the plug. But we do have expertise in helping small businesses get through this process. We have templates on business plans that have been successful with lenders, and we know what elements of that business plan the lenders are looking for.
Exactly. And they're a free resource. I just want to highlight that again. So please utilize them. You must have management expertise, and that's going to be management expertise in the industry that you're requesting the loan for. You must have adequate working capital. And this is kind of key, especially if you are a startup business. Make sure that in your projected financials, you have accounted for what your working capital requirements are going to be. Is it going to come from cash flow from the business, or do you need to take out a working capital line of credit to help you in that time that you, in your startup phase, I should say. And so the lender really wants to see that you understand what it's going to take for you to get from the red and into the black, and you want to make sure that your projected financials and your financials demonstrate that.
So Marium, would the lender expect that the small business owner buys that loan in some way by putting up their house or other assets that they may have?
It's a great question. So SBA, the purpose of the SBA guarantee loan is that a applicant should not be declined solely because they don't meet the collateral requirements. However, we also do tell lenders, in order to make sure that we have responsible lending, is that we want them to evaluate each loan application as if they were evaluating their own non-SBA loan applications. So what that means is some lenders are going to have a different taste for risk when it comes to collateral. So if you don't have collateral, if you don't meet the collateral requirements of the bank, it doesn't necessarily make you ineligible under SBA's guidelines. But if there is any form of collateral, the SBA is going to want you to put that up. And should also mention, as far as eligibility, anybody that is 20% or more, has 20% or more ownership in the business, is going to be required to provide a personal guarantee. So if there is any form of collateral available, even if it's not, it's way below market value or it's underwater, they still kind of want you to put that up. And that's basically calling, they want to see that you have some skin in the game. So if they can't sleep at night, neither can you. That's really what it is. So yes, but if you don't have those collateral requirements, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be ineligible. Again, you want to make sure that the rest of your business plan is going to be stellar. Okay. You must be a citizen or legal resident of the United States, eligible use of loan proceeds, which I'll go over, and your credit history is going to be a factor. So you want to make sure that you utilize any of the free credit pulling your credit history, any of those websites beforehand, so you have an understanding of what your credit history is. Because obviously it is a loan. It is going to go on your personal credit history as well as on your business credit history. So you want to make sure you have a good understanding of what your credit history is, and if there are any issues, make sure you address those in advance. So eligible use of SBA loan proceeds. So an SBA loan can be used to purchase real estate, acquire land, construction, renovation, leasehold improvements, etc., purchase of fixed assets, inventory, working capital, debt refinancing, and some franchises. And to see whether or not your franchise is eligible, you can check out franchiseregistry.com. Next slide, please. Ineligible use of SBA loan proceeds. So basically, if you are a business that's engaged in the instructing or teaching of any religious belief, you become ineligible under SBA's guidelines. It must you can't have an investment-oriented business, so investing in real estate or stocks and bonds, etc. No businesses of a speculative nature. Businesses engaged in lending obviously are ineligible, and the main one, it must be legal under federal law. So some businesses might be legal under state law, but if it's illegal under federal law, unfortunately, it becomes ineligible under SBA's guidelines.
Marium, on this slide, there's an item that we get questioned a lot about. So nonprofit businesses are not eligible. So
yes. So, and again, the first qualifying criteria is you must be a for-profit small business. And the reason for that is there are different avenues for you to get access to capital if you do have a nonprofit business. A lot of lenders actually do have specific products for nonprofit institutions. So there are other channels for nonprofits to get access to capital. Unfortunately, SBA is not one of them, but there are other options for you. And you can actually speak to your lender. They might have a nonprofit product for you. Next slide, please. Guarantee fee. So there is a guarantee fee affiliated with the SBA guaranteed loan because it is a federally funded loan product. We want to try to alleviate some of the burden off the U.S. taxpayer's shoulders. So we do charge the lenders a fee, and they will often pass this on to the borrower. But there's two really unique things that have taken place over the last couple of fiscal years. So if your loan is under $150,000 through the end of this fiscal year, which is September 30th, 2017, I forgot what year we're in, if you are borrowing $150,000 or less, your guarantee fee is waived. And if you are going under the SBA Express Loan Program and you are a veteran-owned business or the spouse of a veteran, that's up to $350,000. Your loan guarantee fee is also waived. So just two things to kind of take advantage of if you are looking to get access to capital from between now and September. We expect that this the fee waiver will be extended, but what we do have funding for goes up until September 30th. So the SBA loan program, so you're going to hear 7A a lot. That's going to be 7A, 504. There's a number of different names that are going to be thrown out there. 7A, the 7A Guarantee Loan Program is essentially Section 7A of the Small Business Act. So, what I want to actually say is that I don't want you guys to don't burden yourself with learning all the different names or trying to see where you fit on the grid of SBA's loan products. Once you speak to your lender, they're going to determine exactly, which product you would qualify for. And the loan products are essentially just different channels for the lender to submit their guarantee request over to SBA. But the maximum loan amount under any SBA product is up to $5 million. Repayment terms are from 12 months to 25 years, obviously on the longer end being for machinery and real estate. The average guarantee amount is between 75 and 85%, and interest rates are determined by your lender with an allowable maximum. And I do want to say it's something you can negotiate, and you do, definitely exercise that power if you are having that conversation with your lender. So under the 7A loan program, there are a number of different sub-programs, and I'll briefly go over them. Again, don't worry too much about which program you're going to fall into or which program you'd qualify for. There really are just channels for the lender to submit the guarantee request over to SBA. Once you speak to your lender, they're going to determine exactly which program you qualify for. Next slide, please.
But you do have a nice explanation of each of those products.
I do, yes.
On the SBA.gov website.
Yes.
So if someone wanted detailed information about what each of those individual loans represented, the information is available at SBA.gov.
Yes, and thank you very much, Karen. So as I mentioned, to go to your local district office's webpage, going on sba.gov under local assistance, and then pull it up by district office. Every district office is going to have something called an SBA resource guide. So it's going to cover everything SBA does, and also local information. So the local institutions that offer these products and your local resource partners like your local SCORE office, etc. And in that resource guide, especially if you download it digitally, it's a wonderful resource. Just, do the Control F function and you can look for all of these loan programs, and it's going to give you the entire explanation of exactly what they are. But and as we mentioned, the SBA Express loan program, it's one of SBA's loan products, and this has the Veterans Advantage, which offers a fee waiver for any veteran-owned business or the spouse of a veteran, and that's up to $350,000, and it can be either a term or a revolving line of credit. Next slide, please. CAPLine, this is our working capital line of credit program. There's 4 different CAPLine products, as you can see, and each of them are tailored based on the industry and the usage. So there's a contracting CAPLine, which is for government contractors. So if you are in the procurement sector, it is a great program to kind of look into and might be something that you'll need to utilize in the future. There's a seasonal CAPLine for businesses that are cyclical in nature, a builder's CAPLine for businesses that are in the construction industries or small developers, and a working capital line of credit program, which is just a general working capital program, and it goes up to 10 years in maturity.
So I'm going to interrupt you here again. My expertise, and I deal with a lot of firms in the government contracting arena. And this first one, the contract CAPLine, is just invaluable for them because if they don't have the working capital to start, but they need to finance those receivables, the CAPLine comes in very handy. Likewise, for the builders, same kind of thing. They need that working capital to get started, and that's where the builder's CAPLine really comes in.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I'm sure Karen sees it more than I do, but I can't even tell you guys the number of times that we see businesses always stuck in that catch-22 scenario where they need the financing to be able to get the contract. And then if they don't have that financing, they can't even, they can't even bid for that contract. So it's something to really look into early on in your business's timeline, and make sure that you equip yourself with the right financial tools that you're going to need should that opportunity come up. So you don't lose it just because you don't have access to capital.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. International trade, Export Express, and Export Working Capital. There are 3 different loan products the SBA offers. Over the last several years, the U.S. government has really made an effort to make the process of exporting easy. So if you do think your business is going to be qualified, or you do think that your business is going to eventually be involved in some sort of exporting, definitely take a look at the exporting section under that resource guide we mentioned, because it is up to a 90% guarantee. So we really are encouraging lenders to provide those businesses an opportunity to expand on the global market. Next slide, please. And Community Advantage. So Community Advantage, as well as the microloan program, which I'll go into the next slide, they're SBA's 2 alternate lending products, and they really they're mission-focused loan products with an economic development component to them. So if you do, for instance, if you do have a more unique loan package, or if maybe you might have some credit issues initially, or you just need that initial seed injection to get your business up and running, but you really aren't having a lot of luck with any conventional lending products, take a look at the Community Advantage loan program. This goes up to $250,000. It offers technical assistance, and again, as I mentioned, it has an economic development component to help the communities that these organizations are working out of. So these is offered directly through our CDFI, CDC, and micro lending partners. So when you pull up that resource guide, your local resource guide is going to have a list of all the lenders that provide the Community Advantage loan program, as well as the microloan program, which is on our next slide. And similar to the Community Advantage loan program, you'd have to go directly through a micro lending institution or a CDFI institution that provides micro loans in your community. The unique thing about this, again, since it is a micro loan, it's from $500 to $50,000. It really, I can't tell you the number of businesses we've seen that have really utilized this to kind of get their foot in the door, to begin building their business's credit, or to even get that initial seed injection, or they might be working in a unique industry that most banks really don't understand or really don't want to take the risk on, but it is a way for them to get that project off and running.
So many people are interested in microloans. And here around the Metro DC area, do you have a listing of the microloan providers that you would recommend?
Yes, we do. They're listed in our resource guide. So again, if you pull that up, It's going to give you the resource guide. I should mention, it has tabs on either side that covers the SBA's three different core programs, which is counseling, capital, and contracting. So you want to go to the capital section under microloan. And again, if you download it, just Control F microloan, you're going to get a list of all the different microlenders within our area. And again, if you're outside the area, you can download your local district offices and get their microlenders in that area.
And if any of you happen to be around the SBA headquarter building and want to stop by the SCORE office, we have copies of that resource guide just inside our front door in a little kiosk area so that you can pick up a copy, because I find it very useful.
It really is.
But as Marium said, you can download it from the SBA website, and it'll provide the names of those micro lenders, which I think is very, very helpful and very beneficial.
And the next loan program we have is our 504 loan program. So this is our other large loan program. Similar to the microloan and the Community Advantage loan program, this is offered directly through our certified development company partners. So it is a fixed asset only, large fixed asset loan program. So it can be used for purchasing real estate or large machinery or equipment. It is a really unique product because it goes up to $5 million if you are in manufacturing energy efficiency. And I just noticed the typo on my slide. It can actually go up to $5.5 million. So if you are in a position where you're able to actually purchase the real estate that you're operating your business out of, or if you want to actually even refinance the real estate that you're operating your business out of, it is a very competitive product in terms of competitive with the commercial market. The maturity can go between 10 to 20 years. And for every job that you create, for every $65,000 that you borrow under this program, you must create or retain one job in the community that you're operating your business in. So again, it is a really unique loan product. And I also want to mention, so we talked about the CDCs who run the 504 loan program, as well as the CDFIs that run the Community Advantage program and the microloan program. I highly encourage you to check out their websites because they have a wealth of information there as well. So they might have other programs that you can utilize. So just want to make sure you guys are utilizing all the different resources you have at your dispense.
So microloans in this area are probably the most used just because they're a little bit easier to get. They're smaller dollar value. It's a nice way to start.
Yes.
But what other which of the other products do you think are most useful in this area, which is dominated by the services industry, not really manufacturing?
Sure. So in our area, I would say it's kind of like a ladder. So micro lending as an access to capital ladder. Mm-hmm. Micro lending is kind of that first step.
Right.
Once you've outgrown that loan product, a lot of them actually, I would say all of our micro lending institutions, they actually offer the Community Advantage loan program as well.
Oh, they do.
Yes.
Okay, so it is like a ladder.
It is like yes. Okay. It's kind of like micro lending 2.0. So once you've exhausted that, outgrown that, you go to the Community Advantage loan program that goes up to $250,000. And then once you're done, once you've built your business credit, you've built, your credit history, you can then, go into the standard 7A loan program, or if you're in a position to purchase real estate or you need machinery or equipment, possibly the 504. But the ultimate goal of the SBA loan program and any alternate lending loan program is to get you out of it. We want you to get to a point where you don't have to use SBA, where you become, your business is financially healthy enough that you can qualify for a conventional loan and obviously get the best in terms of the rates as well as the payments. So that is the goal. But for those individuals who don't fit into that mold, this is a great stepping stone. Okay. Next slide, please. And here's a list of our certified development companies that are in the DC metro area. So again, I mentioned, take a look at their websites, because each of these organizations, not only do they offer the SBA guaranteed loan programs, the Community Advantage, 504 micro lending, but they also work within their respective communities. So they are able to draw from other loan pools. So I know, for instance, Prince George's County, they have like 17 or 18 different tools under their tool belt. And same as Business Finance Group, Chesapeake, and I can never pronounce.
Oh, Rappahannock?
Rappahannock. I'm not from the East Coast, as you can see here. So all of these institutions work, again, with their economic development centers, with their state and with their counties, and might have different loan products that you can utilize there as well.
So if I'm just starting and I think I need a microloan, I go to your website, I download the microloan lenders who work with SBA. And then once I start that relationship, I can then move to Community Advantage loans.
Yes.
Okay. And how do the certified development companies, how do they enter into this equation? Should I contact them, or when do I contact them?
Sure. So the certified development companies, each is unique. So they're all CDFI institutions. So basically means that they can offer offer the 504 loan program, they can offer the community advantage loan program, as well as the micro lending program. So for instance, Business Finance Group, they're our top 504 lender, but they also offer the community advantage loan program.
Okay.
Prince George's County, as I mentioned, they offer they're our primary 504 lender within in Maryland, Prince George's County, and Montgomery County, but they also offer the community advantage loan program, and they also offer a micro loan program, and they have their own other micro lending programs that are offered directly through their state and their counties. So you can contact our district office, and we can obviously give you some more information about this. But each of these institutions, again, they offer a wide range of products, and how the SBA loan programs work in the certification. One institution is able to essentially, offer several different products or utilize several different SBA loan products.
So this would be another way, rather than just starting with any of the micro lenders, to contact one of these initially, and they offer a wide range of products.
Exactly. And
I like that. Yeah.
And a great thing you mentioned in the terms of contacting your lender, I always recommend, if you are looking to get access to capital, or you're looking to begin applying for loans, contact your lender in advance. And make sure that when you're speaking to the lender, you're speaking to the business banker. And obviously, if you're working with like the certified development companies, they're all in the small business sector. But you want to make sure you're speaking to the small business banker. Give them all of the information ahead of time. Make sure you get all of their requirements, whatever they're going to require of you ahead of time, so that you can, prepare the best loan package, and obviously not, ding your credit. So you're going to kind of know in advance whether or not the possibility of moving forward with the loan request with these institutions is even going to be possible. So having that conversation early on is really going to help you out. Okay. Next slide, please. And SBA's other financing programs, we don't deal with this too much at the district office, but we just want to provide you with their names so that you can check them out on the resource guide. The disaster loan program. So this is an exception to the rule. This can actually an SBA disaster loan can actually be residents or for your business, and it has to be in a nationally declared disaster area. So if you do need more information on that, you can find it in our resource guide. The SBIC loan program, or the SBIC program, the Small Business Investment Companies. This is our venture capital, our version of the venture capital product. So if you are going to need maybe an investment-oriented transaction as opposed to a loan to get your business up and running, or for the project that you're taking on, check out the SBICs in your area. You can find these on SBA.gov. Just click SBIC, and it's going to give you a list of all the SBIC licenses throughout the country. And if you are in government contracting and you need to be bonded in order to, bid on any of the contracts, SBA also does have a surety guarantee bonding program. So if you need more information on that, I'm not very well versed in it, but I can definitely direct you to the person that can help you out with that. Okay, so that is it. Again, I'm one of the lender relations specialists. So if you have any questions, you can contact me, or you can contact Lebo Soon, who is my counterpart, and he's also our veterans officer and our international trade officer. So if you have any questions about international trade, or if you are a veteran, he's a veteran himself, he could definitely answer any questions you have and hopefully give you some additional resources.
So with that, let's hold on this slide, Janine, because we're going to go to questions next. And so we've had several questions that have come in while we've been talking. And so, Marium, I'll get to read them and you get to the hard part of answering. So the first question is, what program do you think would be best for a nonprofit? We know that you talked about some lending products are not available to nonprofits, but what would you recommend for a nonprofit? So
under the SBA guidelines, we don't provide access to capital for nonprofit institutions. But what I would do is contact your lender. The few of the lenders off the top of my head, like TD Bank, M&T Bank, I know they all offer loan programs specifically for nonprofit institutions. I don't really have a lot of information about different loan products, but I would contact your lender. And again, any of the large lenders, they're going to have some sort of product for the nonprofit, or they can at least guide you to the right direction. But that's all I have on it. Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. And the community lenders are really invaluable here in the Metro DC area.
Yes.
And I think M&T comes to mind, might be the leading community lender in this area.
They're definitely our top lender dollar-wise. And I would actually not dollar wise. I'm sorry. They're in terms
Probably
of the number of loans they do. Yeah. And they kind of work in every industry. You know, it's kind of hard to pinpoint them. So it might be one that you want to check out.
Let's see. The next question is actually a really good one. What's the usual turnaround time for approval and the funding process? And I know it depends.
Yes.
But what's a general rule of thumb?
Sure. So I would say between 7 to 10 business days on the average. If you are in 10 to business days, and that's from the time that your lender submits their guarantee request into the SBA. So it doesn't necessarily count the time that you submit your loan documents to your lender and if they require additional information. That's why I think it's really key to work with SCORE or one of our resource partners so they can help you prepare the strongest loan package and they can help you, cut down on that time just because they're going to know exactly what you're going to need. Karen mentioned that they do have a template, a business plan template that lenders like to see. So work with them, work with them and let them know in advance that you are looking to get access to capital and they can help you put together the best loan package. As far as the micro lending and community advantage loans goes, those might be a little bit of a longer time frame, but it really depends on how prepared you are going into that meeting with your lender, going into the submission process with your lender. Okay.
We have another question that what are the ongoing interest rates for business loans compared to home mortgage rates? And what is the minimum down payment the lenders expect when applying for a loan?
Okay, it's a great question. So as far as the interest rate, you're going to get the exact details on SBA.gov and in our resource guide is going to
probably changes all the time.
Yeah, it changes on a daily basis. So we allow the lenders obviously a maximum that they can use, and they use a base rate of either Wall Street Journal, They use a base prime rate of the Wall Street Journal, the LIBOR, and something else that I can't think of off the top of my head. And then they have an allowable maximum. Obviously, if you have a riskier business, if your credit has more dings than normal on it, then the lender might increase your rate just to give itself that extra padding. So that's as far as interest rate. And your lender is going to determine exactly where it falls. But if you check out SBA.gov, you can kind of see where it's at today. And we list the daily base rate, or we list the base rates there on SBA.gov daily, so you can check that out. So there was another part to the question.
Oh, and see, I scrolled.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You can put it in again if you have a question. Okay.
The next question, for the eligibility requirements, where it says credit history at the bottom, is this personal credit or business credit?
Great question, both. So as with the SBA Guaranteed Loan Program, anybody with 20% or more ownership in the business is going to require to personally guarantee the loan. And obviously, if you do have your credit history, you have existing credit history, they're going to run that through Dun & Bradstreet. So both are going to be both are going to be factors in determining whether or not you're eligible. And again, if the credit history or the credit score is a little bit lower, it might also affect your interest rate. So something to take into consideration. If you can work on it in advance, there are a number of different free resources you can utilize for pulling your credit history without it impacting it negatively.
So, Marium, you might not know this because I think each bank would be a little bit different. But generally, does SBA have a minimum credit score requirement for any of the loans that it guarantees?
It's a great question. We don't set a minimum, again, because the banks, the lending institutions are going to be very different. And some, really are really set on having that 680 or 700 minimum score. So there isn't a minimum set by SBA. If you were, and SBA also pulls a global credit score, which is basically compromising everything, your character, credit history, the likelihood for success, et cetera, and that is computed with an SBA system. But if I were to compare it to any of the FICO scores, I would say around 620 to 640 is going to be your minimum. So it's equivalent to that. Of course, we don't set that minimum requirement, but I would say from what I've seen in my experience, it's around that much.
So if someone's personal credit score was below that 620 to 640, which you say is the minimum, would you recommend that they spend some amount of time, the next 6 months, the next year, trying to improve that credit score and then before applying?
I do recommend that. Yes, definitely work on getting your credit score together. But SBA is kind of we're not a direct lender, but we call ourselves a gray lender. There's a lot of great language, and and that is done intentionally to allow the lenders to, have any sort of mitigation. So if you, for instance, had a couple bad years in your business, but you've taken steps to improve it, make sure you document it. Make sure you write a compelling story, explain it to your lender. And one thing, please don't hide anything from your lender when it comes to credit.
They're going to find
out, and it's worse when they find out. So just let them know, be truthful and be honest in advance, because it's going to, cut the time down for you. But if there are any circumstances that did take place, but you've taken the steps to reverse that or to improve it, speak to your lender, tell them, give them the full story, and they can probably use that as a mitigation. And hopefully that credit score requirement could be something that they would become, they can become comfortable with, and similarly explain that to the SBA. So I've seen all sorts of situations that, somebody might have been in bankruptcy a couple of years ago, but they had a great story. Not a great story, but they had a great case, and they were able to demonstrate that they've taken the steps to improve it. So those are two things: making sure that you document everything, and making sure that you explain your whole situation to your lender so that they can be an advocate on your behalf.
Well, and in fact, you touched on one of the questions that came in earlier during the webinar, which was actually about a personal bankruptcy. So based on your advice, be transparent, let the lender know that there was a bankruptcy in the history, and then in that 5 years since that happened, what has transpired? Is that
exactly? Okay, exactly.
Another question that came in asked about a microloan, and is there any requirement for that microloan to be collateralized in any way?
Lenders are going to want to see collateral, and so as the microloan product, the microloan institutions, there are alternate lenders. They do have a lot more license for creativity. So generally, if you're getting a microloan, most likely your whatever assets you're purchasing are going to be sufficient for collateral. However, with most microlenders, they can be creative. I know one of our micro lenders that they did a loan for, I think, $5,000 or $6,000, and they actually collateralized a fur coat. So I don't think he would do that again, but there is some creativity allowed. So, and again, depending on the overall loan package and depending on the overall potential for success, you can really, there can be exceptions made to that rule. So if you don't have necessarily real estate collateral or anything else, you can work that out with your micro lender. So there is room for creativity there.
So piggybacking on that question, we were asked that could you elaborate on the personal guarantee requirement for all 20% and greater? And I think you mentioned the fur coat. That's probably not 20% of a loan, but it's something. What else can be used as collateral?
So is that for guarantee required?
Yeah, personal guarantee.
Oh, that's if there's anybody that owns 20% or more, has 20% or more ownership of the business, they're going to be required to have a personal guarantee. So they're going to be required to be on the SBA guaranteed loan. So if you have like five people with 20% or 4 people or, any combination of that, that's 20% or more, then they're going to have to guarantee the loan. Is that what that was about?
I think so.
Okay.
Let's see. Another question we had actually came in from a veteran asking about what product might be the right one for them. Okay. Would that be the Express loan that you mentioned, the Veterans Advantage?
Yes. So under the SBA Express loan, if you are a veteran-owned business and that's up to $350,000 loan limit, the guarantee fee for you is waived. But there is also fee waivers for all veteran-owned businesses under all loan products. So after, I think, from $350,000 to like $700,000, I don't have the correct figure or the exact figures, but you can check this out on SBA's website. If you are a veteran-owned business or the spouse of a veteran, I think it's a 50% of the guarantee fee that you pay anything over $350,000. So there used to be a specific Patriot Express loan program that was for veteran-owned businesses, but when SBA did historical research, they found that this is going to be more tangible and a more immediate benefit to the veteran-owned small business with offering them a waiver of the guaranteed loan fee.
The next question is around companies that are in the services industry, so or a variant thereof. So here we have a value-added reseller, and so they're obviously buying and reselling products. Okay. They need capital actually to hire employees to do the work. What loan should they first consider?
Again, you don't have to really consider. You don't have to bother yourself with looking for the different loan products. Speak to your lender. But what's more important is that you know exactly what you need the loan for. So you're going to know exactly how much you're going to need and exactly what that's going to transfer into as far as where it's going to, what your loan uses are going to be. That's what your lender is really going to be concerned about. Ideally, I mean, essentially you can use any of these different loan products, but you have to know exactly what the amount is that you're going to need and exactly where it's going to go. And make sure, you know, you don't want to request, especially for if you're looking to hire some more employees, or if you're looking for working capital needs, make sure that you know you need a working capital line of credit. But if you're purchasing inventory or something like that, obviously know that you're going to need inventory-based loans. So making sure that you know exactly what you need and the amount that you need, that's going to be key for the lender, not necessarily what loan product. Because once you go to your lender, they're going to determine where you fit on that scale. So don't worry too much about that, but more about what exactly do I need and how realistic is my loan request.
And not only that, but then with your cash flow analysis, which is part of your business plan, how that would be repaid.
Exactly.
Because as you mentioned when we started this, the lender is going to be very interested in, okay, I'm going to lend you this $50,000, and then when can I start seeing it repaid?
Exactly. Yeah, that would be a huge red flag if that was not present.
So here we have a question from someone who's looking for financing to purchase a home.
Or a hub zone, but it is something that we encourage our lenders to keep track of. But for that, I would definitely look into maybe the 504 loan program, because that does have a community development, economic development component to it. So that might be somewhere great to start. You could essentially use maybe a 7A loan product as well, but there isn't a specific loan program for a hub zone loan business. You can essentially use any of the real estate loans to fund that project.
Great. Janine, can we now go to the next steps and then follow immediately by the question slide, just advance to? Great, thank you. So we've been talking a lot about the SBA loan guarantee program, and Marium, I think you gave us excellent advice, is that we, kind of get our plan together, know exactly what we need to borrow, how much, what it's going to be used for, and then a cash flow analysis as to when we could start to repay that. And that we get that pulled together first before we go to see our local lender, our community lender, or one of the four, you call them certified development companies, CDCs that you mentioned. So, I mean, is that really the next step and the way that you would recommend proceeding?
Yes, definitely. I think the biggest red flag to any lender is that somebody comes in unprepared, or they come in with a request that, it doesn't necessarily make sense to the lender. So you want to make sure that you have your game plan. You want to make sure that you have as much of your loan package together, so that when you're presented to the lender. One of the things, I sat on a panel for a business plan contest last week, and I was really surprised. One of the contestants that I thought was doing really well, the lender actually mentioned to me that I don't think I'd lend to her, because every time somebody else made a suggestion, she was like, oh, that's a great point. Or, it just basically demonstrated that she didn't anticipate all the different questions that a lender might ask. So if you can anticipate that, and again, working with SCORE, working with a small business counselor through their institution, that can help you, dot all your I's and cross all your T's in advance, so that the lender, you really paint them the best picture possible.
And as we just mentioned, you can call for a SCORE mentor, ask to sit down with someone to review what you've pulled together, that draft package, so that when you go to meet with your lender, you've at least had a little bit of a practice in pitching, what you need the money for, and, what your plan is on how you would repay it.
Yes. Yeah. Cannot make a first impression twice. So
yeah, absolutely. And Janine, if you'll go to our last slide, please. So we've covered a lot of information in today's webinar. If you have any questions that we weren't able to answer, and there were several that came in that were very specific, not kind of general in nature, Marium is the expert here, and she's provided her address. on this slide, and she's obviously with the Small Business Administration. If you have a SCORE question or one that I can answer or I can forward to Marium, my address is also posted here. And as you can see by the last bullet on this slide, a copy of this webinar and the slides that Marium has presented will be posted on the washingtondc.score.org. There'll be a landing page, so you can go right to that website, and in the search button, just put webinar, and you will then come to all of our recorded webinars, including this one. It usually takes about 24 hours for us to get it posted, but it will be there for you to refer back to. All of our contact information is there, or anything that you might need. And so I think with that, we're going to end just a couple minutes early and give people back a little bit of lunchtime.
Yeah.
But Marium, I really want to thank you for your time and for this information. I think it's been very helpful.
Thank you very much, Karen. Thank you for the opportunity. And again, yes, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. I believe my contact information is on one of the slides as well. But yes, I can't overemphasize utilizing all the resources that are at your dispense, SCORE, SBA, anything that's out there. There really are resources. Sometimes you might have to do a little bit of digging to find them, but they really are going to be, they really are going to be golden in helping you get to the next level or starting your business.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, we're going to close the phone line. And then Janine, if you could also turn off the webinar, I think we'll be good to go.
Yes, and just to reiterate, there will be a replay available within 24 hours. So look for your email, which will have a link directly to the webinar around this time tomorrow.
Great. So thank you for everyone who dialed in or who came in by phone. We appreciate your time. Thank you.